Assembler students, this video will serve as an introduction to using SASM, the cross IDE assembler, IDE for assembler. Like any other programming IDE, we'll be able to edit programs and run them and stuff like that, and debug them, which is the stuff like that. Forms. Program, the essence of it was in the Glassboard video lectures, which I posted earlier, where I traced on a blackboard the critical notions of an assembler program and the execution of some of the instructions. We're going to review a little bit of that right here in the IDE, which will have the advantage of we can see, using the IDE, we can see the effect of the instructions on memory and registers in the computer. And it will be an introduction to what to expect with the IDE when you use it, how to make it do what you want, like that. So how to use the IDE to actually play with the code. Your program is too big to fit in the whole in the window, and let us show you right now a few things. We're here. Section has initialized data. Inside of it, what was in the are defining 5 bytes, which are an ASCII C. In describing this to some of the students in class is we're going to imagine there's a street, main street, data street. Each byte on the street is a house. All these bytes starting from C, H, A, R, blob, bracket, and then 0, 0, 0. All of those are houses on the street. Out message is going to be the address of the house with the C on it. CH out is going to be the address of the house with the 0. But all these houses are all in a row, starting from here, ending here, all the way down the street. The next bit of program anatomy is the text section. Oops, I still have that on drawing the wrong thing. Is the text section. The text section contains your program instructions and labels. So the labels in the text section are very much like the labels in the data section. They're attached to an address, so that label is another word for this spot in memory. Inside the memory are the instructions themselves. For example, there's a move instruction, move instruction. These instructions are provided by the SASM. They're subroutines, which you're calling really, to do input and output, because that would be a lot of assembler and too hard anyway for beginners. So they're providing these subroutines: print character, print hex will print some bytes, add hex numbers, like that. The last thing you will, of course, need in your IDE as your input and output areas. We're only going to use the output for this, but there's where your output is showing. Okay. Having gotten your program loaded and taken a look at it, we're going to run it in debugging mode. So that will enable us to step through the program and see what's going on. The show registers and show memory boxes will be checked, and we'll see what that does. But let's start the program. This actually starts the program running when we hit debug, and it stops it at the first line. Okay, I've started the debugger, and up here I had the memory section, and you'll notice that I put my label, my address, right here. So this is going to be an address on the street, on Main Street there. And then here is what's in each byte, starting from that label. Here's this lowercase c, which is x63, x68 is a lowercase h, a, r, 5b is that left bracket. The next thing is a 0, which is here. And you'll notice we have 5 zeros. And then after the fifth 0 comes a right bracket, which is a 5d. And then we have another 0, which is down here. So the db command, if we put the double quotes, we can get a whole bunch of characters in a row, or we can put individual bytes, one at a time. That's individual bytes. And the single quotes is a single character. One moment. Okay, on the right, we see our registers. Those are the variables that the machine gives you that you can use for anything you want. And those are the ones you have. That's what they're called. You don't get any choices. And in the instructions, we have the variables. The first instruction here involves the registers EBP and ESP. Here's your ESP and EBP registers. You'll notice right now that they're different. That first instruction is going to copy what's in ESP to EBP. You'll see that in a moment. The next instruction is going to put something into ECX. It's going to put 5 in ECX. Right now, ECX starts out with a lot of hex garbage. You'll notice that in assembler that you can't assume your variables, your registers, your memory, is initialized to anything in particular, like zeros or something. So there's a lot of garbage in the ECS register right there. And this third instruction is going to move an ASCII A, 1 byte, hex 61, into the BL register. You remember from the earlier lecture that the BL register is the right-hand byte out of the 4 bytes of the EBX register. So the EBX register is 4 bytes long, and that right byte, right now that right byte is 0. There's another CRUD in there, and the other bytes. So this instruction is going to put something in only those 2 hex digits in there. So these are the 3 instructions coming up as we start our program. This is where your registers are and what's in them. Let's start stepping through the code and watch it change. Okay, up here in the debug, you'll notice that F10 is called step over. That will cause this finger, the program counter, to move down and to the next instruction, and the instruction underneath it will happen. And that instruction is going to copy everything that's in the EBSP register into the EBP register. So let us right now just do that. All right, you'll notice that the program counter has moved down to the next instruction, and the EBP register and the ESP register are now the same. They were different a moment ago. This next instruction is going to put a 5 into ECX. There's our ECX register. Got it? Okay. And we notice that ECX here is now a 5. The next instruction, as I mentioned, was going to put an ASCII A, which is a hex 61, into the BL register. This was your BL register at the bottom of ECX. we've moved one instruction down, and here we have our hex 61. Got it? Okay, so to review, we have our program in the middle. This is an IDE, we can execute it. This is the data section where we have defined bytes and labels. Here we can, in the debugger, display, starting from this label, all the different bytes. One thing I should have mentioned is we picked hex display over here and bytes. We have other options, but mostly we're going to be using hex and bytes, and this is 12 bytes. So to illustrate that, why don't I just start displaying, or never mind, we'll just leave it like that. We have our moving finger here, which proceeds down the instructions, which are in the text section. We have our registers showing us what's going on in the registers, and we can execute by pressing F10, going down one line at a time, and watching the registers change. And I'm going to take this opportunity to move just a little bit further. We'll notice that the next thing we're doing is we're moving this label, which is an address, into ESI. So that address will go into that register. We're going to print. So we'll print BL, which is that little byte, which is a hex 61. We'll print it as a character, which will be an A. Let me do that. We printed the A right here. And now we're going to print the same BL register as a hex number, which is going to be a 61, right there. And then we print the new line, which you can't see. So those are not real assembler instructions. Those were the subroutines that are there for your convenience. The last thing I want to show you right now is we're going to put that A, that BL, into memory. So let me draw on here. Here is the byte in memory. If you remember, ESI has the address of CHOut in it. That's CHOut. CHOut was right here, following that left bracket. BL had the little A in it, the hex 61. This move instruction says go to the house, go to the byte whose address we've written down in ESI, go into that house, go into that byte, and put that data. Compare with line 17 where we said write down the address of the house into ESI. And now this instruction says go get that piece of paper with the address on it. That tells us which house we're going to go to, and we're going to put something into that house, into that byte. We're not moving BL into the ESI register. The ESI register won't change. It's the ESI register. We're not going to put anything into the ESI register. We're going to put some data into this address in memory, which is this byte up here. So, one moment, we'll do that. And now you'll notice that byte in memory has that same A that this one had. And we've advanced to the next instruction. Happiness? Okay, that's all for now. The next video, we'll see how you can extend this program to do your first lab.